Welcome to the machine.
Hello pilots, I'm Shaolin Rogue and welcome to our weekly test server review on the machine. I was already eager to get onto the test server this weekend with the Android platform being excluded from last week's test and had been looking forward to testing the new rocket mechanics since the announcement early this year. I was pleasantly surprised to find that all weapons and robots were capped to level 8. It should allow for better testing due to longer engagements, and it makes using small and medium robots much more viable. First up, the prototype heavy machine gun is back, and although I like what Pixonic has done with the weapon so far, I still feel the projectiles need some additional damage and would like to see the clip size increase to 100 rounds. I'm hoping once Pixonic has the performance balanced, we'll see some improved sounds and visuals, and would very much like to see this weapon deployed into the game as soon as possible. Both the MK2 and MK3 prototype dash robots were also included in the test, both feeling well balanced, and I feel they're close to being ready for release. The MK3 handles much better than the last time I used it, and is finally maneuverable enough for sustained close quarters combat. However, I am still perplexed by the design of the shield and find it difficult to judge whether I have it at the correct angle when blocking incoming fire. I would like to see the edges extended to protect more of the flank and front of the robot, requiring less turret rotation when switching between blocking and shooting. I would say the MK3 is roughly on par with a Rhino or a Griffin at this point, but the shield will need improving for it to be a compelling choice over a Lancelot. Overshadowing the MK3 is the return of the MK2, and it finally has a skin. While I do appreciate not having to look at the glaring white of the unskinned model, I'm not at all impressed with the design of the default skin. It looks as though the concept is likely from the same person or persons responsible for the premium Rogaka skin, which is also blue and red with a cheesy Formula 1 speed racer look that I don't feel does the robot justice. I would prefer the default skins of the dash robots to be something more subtle and high-tech looking, leaving the superhero look to be purchasable if you want it. Performance-wise, the MK2 also feels like it's found its niche, and while they can be devastatingly effective, they're no worse to deal with than a good Carnage pilot, but are certainly more of a handful than facing a Fujin. I feel once Pixonic throws a skin on the MK3 and improves the effectiveness of the shield, both it and the MK2, as well as the reworked Rogaka, will be ready to deploy on the live server. Along with the entire range of Silver-class rockets, Geckos have been visually redesigned, and the damage at level 8 has been increased nearly 900 points from 1,469 to 2,350. I could definitely notice the difference right away, and while I do like the increased damage on the Gecko, I think Pixonic will need to adjust the upgrade curve, providing most of the extra damage in the final 2 levels to avoid them being too overpowered on open maps in lower tiers, where light and medium robots are widely used. I really like the new models for the Pinata, Pin, and Tulumbas, but find the accent colors are too bright, and some of the detailing simply looks like graffiti. I'd like to see Pix keep the models, but give them a more industrial look, and for them to color match Pinatas to Orkans and Pins to Tulumbas. Cosmetics aside, I really like the new reload mechanic on the Pinata, being an absolute game changer for loadouts that rely heavily on them, and works extremely well as expected on a Death Button Griffin without making it too overpowered. And we got some footage to cover that for you, and then we'll be back. comes to the Pins and Tulumbas, however, I have mixed feelings. It seems to work very well on robots running a dedicated loadout and allows for a more aggressive approach from the mid-range. When testing this setup on an RDB Griffin, however, I found that I would prefer to have the rockets at full strength with the traditional reload mechanic, which I feel plays more into the Griffin's strengths of surprise attack and retreat. Personally, I feel that if you're using these weapons at the proper range, the reload downtime is a worthwhile trade-off for the increased damage. I would instead like to see Pixonic give the Pin a slight buff, the Tulumbas a slight nerf, and change the reload time of both to 12 seconds. The Shuts also received a new model and skin, which I think are fantastic. This is the kind of high-tech industrial look that I feel is missing from most of the other new skins, and the new model looks great. One thing I do not like is the new body design has the weapon mounted in a more bullpup or snub-nose style, which not only will require exposing more of the Shuts' chassis, the rear placement and nose also leaves no room for the weapon to be aimed down, and I would like to see Pixonic move the hardpoint slightly forward and raise it up from the chassis a little bit as well. With the test server being capped at level 9 this weekend, it seemed like an excellent opportunity to take the Shuts out to show off its new duds, and we'll end today's video review with a couple of clips from that. Thanks for tuning in for this week's test server review. I'm Shaolin Rogue, and I'll see you next time on The Machine.